All right. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to the second episode of the No Bullshit SMP podcast with myself, David Hoffer, and Magic Mike over there, pointing to our fabulous logo, and Paul Clark over there, all the way across the pond in the UK. And we are going to be discussing the topics that we feel, in our opinions, are the biggest bullshit in the industry. And there's a lot of them. And I'm sure everybody out there is going to have some. And we're going to ask you guys all to chime in and message us and tell us what you think is some stuff that we need to change in this industry. And not only are we just kind of griping about the bad stuff, we want to find solutions to what's going to make it better because we all care so much. So welcome to episode 2. And I'm going to get off the mic and let these two attractive, fine young gentlemen talk.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did enough talking last week, so I let Mike go ahead.
What was that? Paul can't hear with that mic. No.
This is all pure aspect because my mic is not working, so we got to make sure
a hard time. We're upgrading our what's it called, our studio each week, so we got mics, but eventually it seems like Paul's mic is not working, but next week will be better. I'm still working on my background.
This is bullshit. There you go.
That's okay. It's all about what's coming out of your mouth, Paul. That counts. That's it.
All right, Davey. Let me ask you, because I know we spoke about it, so I know how many how much training you got in SMP. But share your story. How was your training? How many months or how many weeks? How many people you train with?
I think it's a little different because when I got into it, there was only one company doing it, and that was his hair clinic. Mm. And I don't know who's heard my story, but I'll tell it again. I'll try not to make it long and boring, but it was in 2011 when I found out about SMP. And I went to, I think there was only 2 locations. His hair clinic just opened up 2 in the United States. One was in New York and one was in LA. And because I'm close to LA, I went up there and I met with the owner and I met with the artist, and they had like a 6-month wait to get me in. And this was, like I said, end of 2011. And so I went in there, obviously I had it done beginning of 2012. And I instantly was like, man, I want to do this for a living. I was working at Trader Joe's. I'm a graphic designer. And I knew how much it helped change, how I looked at myself. I mean, I was already confident, but something I just didn't like when I looked in the mirror. And that's because I was bald. And we all have that same story. A lot of people are going to be able to relate. But so I instantly said, I want to do this. And I went back. I think I had 3 or 4 sessions with them. And then when I went back, I think it was just about a year later, I said, hey, listen, are you guys going to be opening up more locations in the United States? Because I would really, really love to learn how to do this. And to make a long story short, they initially said, yes, we're going to open up more locations. I had to do my due diligence and do some research on my area and why it would be good to have an office in Orange County, even though they had one in LA, which is only about an hour away. I went back to the guy, Ian Watson, and I spoke to him and I said, listen, this is why it would be a good place to have one in Orange County. So he said, okay, well, we can train you, but the only way we train you is if you open up a franchise. And the cost of that at the time was $80,000. And it was a 3-month, I think it was 8 weeks, they said. Yeah, 8 weeks. And I would have had to fly to Manchester at their training facility. Now, mind you, I had just had my first baby girl. So she was about not even a year old. And I said, you know what? I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to leave my family for 8 weeks. I'm willing to put out $80,000, which I did not have. I was willing to do this because I wanted to be good. And they were the only ones doing it. So I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. I went to my girlfriend. I went to the rest of my family. I said, listen, hey guys, this is something I have to do. And I got full blessings from everybody. Nobody wanted to see me go for 8 weeks, but this is what I was willing to do. Sacrifice money, time, family, all that stuff just to learn how to do this. And that's what I was willing to do. Long story short, they didn't do it because they didn't want to open up one so close to LA. So they wouldn't train me. They're not going to train me and me open up some other business. They wanted to kind of capture me. So I had to learn on my own, to be honest. I took some permanent makeup courses, learned how to do killer eyebrows, but nobody was teaching SMP because nobody did SMP. So I learned myself, which was difficult, but I practiced on myself. I have dots on the back of my legs too that I have since lasered off. But that's what I had to do. I mean, I learned what machine they use, what needles they use. I just didn't know what ink. There's a whole nother topic. We'll get into that later on. But yeah, we'll get into that in other episodes. But this was my introduction to.
That's the episode we get assassinated.
I can't wait for that one. I can't wait for that one.
It's been just a quick chime in for 2 seconds. It's been a ongoing conversation with myself this week, with many other artists reaching out.
Did you get death threats already, Paul?
I'm surprised there's not like a red dot like hovering on my.
That's fun.
That might be.
That'll be a juicy topic. That'll be juicy.
Yeah.
Right, we gotta open it. We know what it is.
So that's where my training came from. I learned myself, and then I started to get into it. I'd say my first 50 clients were people that literally volunteered. They said, "Hey, listen, I know you're an artist. The first guy that I did. I still see the guy, and it looks good." And he told someone, and then he told somebody, and then I was doing them all for free because I was still trying to practice. That was, practicing on human skin wasn't probably the best idea, but I had no reference. And since one turned out good, the other guy trusted me. Then they trusted each other, and then I got confident enough to open up my own thing and did my own thing for probably 8 to 9 months. And then I found a company that would help do the marketing and do the advertising because still nobody knew what SMP was. It was hard to promote an industry which nobody knew what it was. And back in the day, we didn't call it a tattoo. So that was hard too, to say, hey, I do this thing and it's not a tattoo, but it is a tattoo. And it was really confusing to people. So that's my story. I started off on my own. I learned a lot from watching others and listening to others. I met John Chandler back in the day, and he was huge influence on me and helped me out. But I'm an artist.
So you're telling me, Dave, that there wasn't a bespoke course to suit your needs and lifestyle at any given time?
No.
You had to sacrifice.
Yeah, no.
What?
And the industry didn't accommodate for my schedule. They didn't say, "Oh, we're going to come to America. You can do it at your own pace." No, I had to figure it out. Oh, and by the way,
I have 2 hours free on Tuesdays. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
At the end of it.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, not only did I have my first baby girl who was less than a year old, I had 3 other stepkids, one with special needs. I had a girlfriend. I also had a job too that was making me a little bit over minimum wage. I had a huge family to take care of, and I didn't expect an industry to accommodate to my schedule. I had to learn it. I had to sacrifice.
Correct.
Outrageous.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Different times.
Fair play to Dave.
So David, after how many clients do you think you felt comfortable, doing procedures?
Are you guys? Is this an interview?
That you were comfortable knowing that maybe I already know everything about SMP. I'm not afraid to do, treatments on the individuals that I won't be able to do. Well, like when you felt comfortable that.
I was always afraid. I was always afraid. I was always nervous because you'll always get something different. Always get something. I remember my first hair transplant scar. Holy shit. But I just treated it with caution. I was conservative with things. I knew that if I go light or if I go gentle, I can always do more. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure I've put a couple botch dots on people, but nothing that was so bad that it was like you can't go back. I remember, and listen, if you want to get real graphic, I remember when I opened up my shop. Now I was on my own. I would literally be waiting for clients to come in, and my stomach would start to rumble. I have to run off to the bathroom. I was so nervous. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as I started to get comfortable again. So it was almost like a mental thing, but I still don't think I know everything. I get guys literally 11 years later now, someone comes in and they have a situation that I've never seen before, but I approach it with the same way I approach everything. Be very cautious. I don't promise someone 3 sessions. I say, hey, it could be 4, it could be 5. It's whatever it takes to get the job done and the job done right.
Correct.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what people need to continue to learn. You can't just take a quick course, even a month, even 2 months, and expect to be completely competent. It takes a while.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
You had the similar journey today, like, did you?
Correct. So with my journey started with his as well. At that time, I was already married. We were trying to have a kid. And once I got my treatment done in Chicago and his opened the clinic in 2012, that's when I met Ayulo. So Matt Ayulo was working in Chicago at that time. He was rotating from New York to Chicago. So he did my consultation. He actually pushed me through the door to start working for them. So I went to England, Birmingham, was trained by Paul for two months, and then additional 3 weeks in LA with Zhang. But it was the best time, you know what I mean? Because obviously I get to shadow Paul every day. There was no pressure. It wasn't like 20 students, trying to learn SMP. It was usually one-on-one, which was amazing time. So we spent time after work as well. So that's what we bonded. It was more relaxed training than pressure training, in 3 days. This was 3 months. So I was comfortable. Even when I was still in England, the last month, I was already having my own clients. So you felt comfortable working on clients and doing everything from the beginning till the end. So when I, came back to Chicago, there was no pressure. Obviously the first client in Chicago, you're always nervous, but later on, there was no pressure. And then I think it took maybe 3-4 years when I felt comfortable. It's like, okay, is there anything else that I have not seen that I won't be able to do, right? But like you said, David, you got to take it, step by step, every case. But yeah, I think after 3-4 years, I felt comfortable, working on any type of clients. So,
and the people and the viewers at home, listen to what he just said. 3 to 4 years when he felt comfortable after a 3-month apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody works in different speeds and stuff like that. And, you have your own kind of methods of what makes you feel competent and makes you feel confident. And maybe you had a checklist. That's how I always worked. I always write pale skin, check, next type of skin, check. Yep. So you Pokemon, you got to collect them all, got to catch them all. You got to find out what works and how you adapt. But still, 3 months training, 5 days a week from 9 till 6 o'clock in the evening. If I was working 6 days, Mike was working 6 days. It was about a month till he touched human skin, and so these touching human skin on day 2, day 1, minute 1, whatever. And pen to paper work for pretty much a whole week, filling A4 sheets of paper, dotting it, turn it over, do it again, doing all these different tasks. And then we introduced a handset with needles, and then they used to that, and then we worked on bananas and melons and fake skins. And it was just constant, repeating that process, repeating that muscle memory, density building, hair. And,
and the best thing about it, sorry, Paul, interrupt, is in the beginning, since it was pretty new, treatment out there for hair loss, we had a lot of clients, you saw for, 3 to 4 clients a day, which was repetition. I loved it, because it was nonstop. I mean, these days, if someone finishes training, it's not like they're going to have, 20 clients lined up the first week, right? They might have a client once a month, maybe 2 clients in a month. So, you're not going to get that repetition with 2 clients. It's hard to figure yourself out. What's your technique? What's your style? What's your mistakes? If you only do 2 clients a month, right? You're not going to see it. When we were doing it, it was 3 or 4 clients a day. So it was nonstop repetition. If you made a mistake, you saw the client next week, then you can fix it with the other client, right? So that's why I love when we were that busy. It was amazing.
I think it's one of the things we have to kind of throw out there is anybody who's offering a course, and we don't have to just keep picking on the 3-day course because we all know that they don't work. And someone goes, oh, we offer mentoring and we offer a bunch of other stuff. I challenge anybody who's offering those courses to laser off their SMP. I did it. Laser it off. And then go get it redone. Are you going to trust any of your students?
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something. Because listen, I've been doing this for such a long time. I had my SMP for I think 11 years before I had it lasered off because I just did. and Paul redid it. It's looking freaking tastic.
Don't tease me. I need that first session, man.
It's coming soon. It's coming soon. But when I lasered it off again, I immediately got that insecurity back again. I was like, holy crap, I really need this back in my life. But I'm not going to just go to anybody. And I'm in California, Orange County, Southern California. There's a lot of artists around here. I wouldn't go to any of them. There's maybe one or two that I would think about, but no way. So if anybody else who's been doing this for a long time and is now offering courses, they're probably well known in the industry. Laser yours off, and then see who's going to do your next session or you redo it. You're not going to use any of your students.
That should be the competition for next SMP award convention.
Wait, what's that, Paul? We didn't hear you.
I said no one's going to take that bet, bro.
Yeah, I'll put money on the table. Money on the table.
Yeah. Next convention, we'll have these these practitioners that are offering that training and see who wins, which practitioner wins from having their treatment done by their students. But yeah, I mean, guys, not you, but whoever's listening, tell me what profession is out there that you can make 6 figures after 3 days of training or on taking course. Anything out there, tell me what category offers 3 days of training profession you can make 6 figures. I don't think there is.
What is it?
Was it?
Oh, sex workers. Yeah.
Oh, sex workers.
You don't need any training for that.
Yeah.
You just be naturally gifted.
I'm not.
I'm not either. No, I'm not making 6 figures. I'm not making $6.
Right. Yeah, it's impossible. It's impossible. I mean, you'll get students maybe that will learn in 3 days, but it's 1%. And if we're charging, a couple $1,000, these students, they expect to learn, right, in those 3 days. But
they're not going to learn. They're not. And I think, this is kind of a continuation of what we were talking about when we were in New York. We were talking just about this, and we wish we had more time. We only had an hour, but Paul brought it out there, and I thought it was brilliant. We were getting people in the audience talking about what they do in their country and how they offer more training. And this is just let this snowball roll so we can get some ideas. No, not one person has the perfect idea, but if we can get all these ideas together, we have to come up with something that's standardized, something that is the initial training, and then you move on from there. But it has to be long.
Mm-hmm. Or certify them differently, right? Like we were talking about, instead of certifying someone as a practitioner, certify them maybe saying, you completed intro to Scalp Micro Pigmentation, but you can't touch skin yet.
Nah.
Unless you do 6 months of apprentice or you've done 50 clients.
We got to change the narrative. We got to change the narrative of what we now believe is the way we do training. It started with, I originally wanted, just a quick way of recap of how I got my training. I got in solely because having tattoos, and someone noticed my tattoos in Watson from his hair clinic. We spoke. I was working at Starbucks, but doing a tattoo apprenticeship. I was 6 months into a 2-year tattoo apprenticeship, and fast forward, I joined that company. I saw what they're doing. I can't remember where he brought the technique back, but what he was showing me is not what's practiced to this day. It's what was shown to me back then is this kind of cluster filling technique, which I've mentioned in the past before, where there's no regard of individual impressions. You just keep on bumping. And I actually said to him, this is going to blow out. This is going to migrate. This is not going to work. And then with my short time being there, I said that in week 1. And by week 2, I came up with my own technique because I was about to leave. I was like, I need to go back to my tattoo apprenticeship. These guys, I feel like they don't know what they're doing. My tattoo artist at the time said, well, if you have an idea, you come up with your own process. So I was like, yes, that lit a fire up my ass. And I went and started practicing this technique. And, I started with really open density, closed it in, timed myself. And I'm quite fortunate enough to be recognized as an innovator of modern day SMP, because what I was shown was all about 2 sessions, and the logic was goes dark and dense as possible on each session. And I knew that weren't right. I knew that impressions will bleed into each other. So I came up with this 3-step process, and then when and like week 3, I was told, right, you're head practitioner and you're head trainer in week 3 of what I'm doing. And that's when he went, how long is it going to take for you to train someone? And I said 6 months. And he's like, can you do it shorter? We need 3. We need it quicker. Can you do 2? Can you do 1? And I was like, 3 weeks in, bear in mind, I'm still trying to make sure that I have a job. So I was like, look, 6 is the best way, but 3, I can trial it. And, we had loads of Mike, Maolulo, loads of people come through the door. And 3 seemed to be just got there, but you just grit of our teeth. We just got there. And then that was it. And then I had a ghostwriter. When I was doing treatments, I had a ghostwriter sitting on the couch to the left of me asking how I did all this process. How do I deal with this spacing? Literally, I had to dissect everything while I was treating someone. And I ended up writing the first manual, which was this big. Do you remember, Mike, in the grey folder?
Mm-hmm. The Bible. SMP Bible.
SMP.
Yeah, without even lifting a finger.
Are you SMP Jesus? You wrote the Bible.
I'm better than Jesus.
SMP Jesus. We're going to get you a shirt. Holy shit.
So I'm going to show you guys how to install this grip on the machine and the best way to avoid cross-contamination and just make it simple. It's very easy to do. No longer do you have to use cohesive tape and wrap up your aluminum grip. It's simply, you put the bag over, you spin the grip on, you put the needle in, and you're going to start your procedure. Okay, so this is the exciting SMP grip that's smaller for people that have smaller hands or might desire a smaller grip. It's 3/4 of an inch. It tapers back. It's got the beautiful texture so it won't slip from your hands. It's got the nice scallop there just to give you an additional grip. It has some finger support here. And what you do is you slide the bag over the machine right before the O-ring. You pinch it. You fold it that way to go with the screw on. You screw the grip on, and there we have it. You go ahead and put the needle in, and it's just a very comfortable grip. Everything was thought of, again, everything we do is designed by an artist, myself, and the community, so this is really comfortable. It fits right in your hands. For those of you that want smaller grips, our Bishop SMP disposable 1 grip. So if you are one of the SMP technicians that want like a bigger grip, we do have the 1-inch grip. We also have the 1.25-inch grip. Both very comfortable. I personally am a fan of the 1.25-inch grip for my hands. So we have different options for different size hands and different preferences. David, you've had a chance to actually use these grips on the procedure. What do you think so far?
Oh, they're fantastic. Not only is the rubberized part, it makes the machine not vibrate. I mean, it already doesn't vibrate at all.
Yeah.
But it takes any extra vibration out of it, and you have a better grip without the cohesive tape, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Fits your hand perfectly, just like the regular grips. But it's just a game changer. It's just one and done. Toss it, and
Yeah.
good to go.
It's about sterile. It's about being sterile. It's about things being a little bit easier in your setup, clean for the customer. So as we talk about the grip, enough about the grip. We're excited to drop more videos here soon, so stay tuned. We're going to be, if you guys have any questions about technique or needles or stroke, we're going to be really diving deep and informing and teaching you guys, the audience, on what your equipment is, how it works, how to do different techniques, essentially how you can become more of a master, more of an artist. I'm going to let David close it up here.
Thanks, Rico. I just wanted to thank everybody for showing all the love and support to Bishop SMP. We're founded from a very successful company that's been tattooing for a long time, and SMP is just another part of that. It's on the cosmetic side, and with products being premium quality and with all the artists out there using our products, we're quickly becoming one of the favorites, if not the favorite, and we're going to continue to get better and better with everybody's support. So thank you very much.
Please let us know how you like our products. We are always evolving. We're always striving to become better on everything we do. And that's our promise from Bishop SMP to you, that we won't stop until you are absolutely thrilled on all of our products, from our needles to our lotions to our inks to our machines. Stay tuned. We're going to be dropping more products soon. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Can I interrupt real quick? Here's the thing. When you said you innovated something, which you did, okay, how long do you think before you were able to say, okay, well, this is now tested and tried and it does work? Because what's going to stop that to say someone else will go, well, if Paul innovated something and he wrote a manual on something, he didn't see what it looked like in a year, in 2 years, because he had just wrote this book and he was now innovating something that we now know works. Someone else could say, well, listen, I'm innovating something too. It's not really innovation until you see how it looks a year, 2, 3, 5 years down the line. So that's where I think a lot of people are starting to come up with their own techniques, and try to say that they're innovative. We won't know. We won't know. But it has to be common sense.
Back then, SMP was like discovering oil. You had to put the fences up. You had to make sure shrouded in secrecy. So their main objective was to get this information in a booklet, which was intellectual property of them. So throughout my whole career, as my close friends know, and you guys know, I've always been screwed over in my career. And it's only the last 2 years that I've actually gone, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to do this by myself. And I can't screw myself. Well, I probably can, but time will tell. But it's been the best 2 years of my career. So, and like I said, back then it was like, get everything down on paper. They wanted this down on paper, and it was so evident that they wanted that. And then after about the year, it was fine, like minor tweaks, what needed to be changed, and little fine tuning. But the results were coming back, and they were coming back great. 2 years come back, oh yeah, this manual's still holding up. But they just wanted to expand really quickly, so they were like, boom, 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 right, teach it. And I was barely 5 weeks into the job, and I was training 2 people in.
Wow. So
I was like, and my motto was what you said, Dave, is less is more. I'd rather add more to a job than do too much. Mm-hmm. So that was always my philosophy. You can always go darker. You can't do dark, nothing you can do.
Were there any other companies that you knew of back then that were doing treatment one session, or did they pick up your invention?
So basically, I can't remember the story too well because it was 15 years ago, and I did a lot of drinking then because I was in my 20s. I know, I'm believe it or not, I'm not in my 20s now. I know, guys, it is crazy. So
you don't want to put that picture from New York in a second. When we're sitting in the room.
Contemplating life. So there's other people. So when I got into the industry, I was looking for any source material. What does this look like? I only had one guy who I saw, which was Ian, and I particularly didn't like it. It was a straight hairline, very low, oversaturated. I guessed that it was a tattoo on him, and he was like, "Could you tell?" I was like, "Yeah." But there was when I was doing my research, I came across someone called Melinda something. I can't remember.
In the UK? In the UK?
No, in Spain, I think.
Okay.
Spain. And then there's a woman in America somewhere, I can't remember. But there was no evidence of the work in regarding single impressions. Like what I came up with, there was nothing staring me back in the face and going, okay, I was late to the party. It was like this shading technique, this cluster technique, which obviously was passed. I don't know who trained in Arambia, but it was this cluster technique, which I didn't agree with. So that's when I was like, right, I'm going to do the spacing. But it's funny because someone told me from the industry, I can't remember who it was now. It was at a conference back in 2018. They said they described me as the trunk of a tree, and then the industry branches off.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it's funny because at his hair clinic, everything was like ironcladded. Like the technique couldn't go, you couldn't talk to anybody. But the technique started getting out, and it was in the likes of Matt moving forward, leaving his hair clinic, Damon Ashcroft leaving. Little people just started to leave.
Jonathan Jarrell, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then what was in the perimeter of his hair clinic started leaking out, And then these people started training other people, started training other staff, them staff leave them, and it just carried on and carried on and carried on. And it's funny how that now stems and it's branched off. And, you know, it's funny because when I talk to someone, there's like, I got trained by so-and-so, and I can almost trace it all the way back to Birmingham.
I like the analogy, because if you think about it, say you and when you started was the trunk, and then it's starting to branch off, it's branching off, and it's going to continue to branch off. But the bad thing, and this is the bad thing, what's happening is it's branched off so far out of the picture that they're not, I just hit a light, that they're not bringing back to the roots. You have to get back to the roots. You know,
the strongest part of the tree?
That's the strongest part of the tree. So they're
not getting enough water to survive.
It's so far fetched from where it used to be that it's lost. It has a disconnect. And that's why we're talking, because the disconnect is making it bad. It's almost like those branches are so far away, they're starting to fall off and corrode and rot. And that's ruining the industry. We need to get back to the roots.
And for the first time in a long time, I've not had to put my personal achievements and accolades and paste them onto other individuals, because in my whole career, I was not allowed to stand out. I wasn't allowed to shine. I wasn't allowed to be the number one guy, even though I was in these companies, because if the artist outvalued the brand had no financial sexiness.
Your Lambo was always locked in the garage, wasn't it?
Well, they had a grip on you. They have a hold on you. Yeah.
So, and then what happened was there was a forum back in the day which had 15,000 members, which was the only forum about hair loss. And, you know, a few other artists in his hair clinic were very, very popular. Lot of people standing out, being rock stars in themselves. And then what happened was the power shifted to the artist, which it should have always been. It should have been always an artist-driven business, like tattooing. And then what happens is that, like, they start to go, well, we need to blank out names. So, like, they'll blank out the names on the forum.
Yep.
But then, stupid enough, they would put the same hashtags as the amount of letters in people's names.
Okay.
So you could dissect it in the weirdest, shittest Da Vinci Code ever, right? And then figure out, well, that's about Paul, because there's so many characters in that. Do you know what I mean? It's so
because they categorize by the city too. So there's only one clinic in that city.
Yeah.
Obviously, that person is doing those treatments. It was obvious, right?
Yeah. There's so much fuckery, you know, and it's similar to what's going on in the tattoo industry. Too many people now have access to the tools. They can go anywhere and get tools. When I first started, you had to have a tattoo license to even buy anything. You had to show your certification. Where did you get the certification from? Just to buy a box of needles. And that's why it's not like that anymore. So it's got to go back
and for me, like, just like on a personal note, because I always love to put like a personal touch on these podcasts, because I think it's important to know us as individuals and know how we feel about things. Is like, I find it strange as shit, man, when I go to these conferences and I remember being the only person doing what I was doing in the world of my technique. Now there's a whole room with 200, 300 people on stage talking about something. And I'm just going, oh, this is so weird that
it's changing so quickly, right?
And it's changed 50 It's changed so much. And for me, it's a breath of fresh air, because now I don't feel like I've got a plastic bag over my head. I feel like I'm not silenced. I'm not owned by anybody. And what's really nice is that the community of SMP and the industry of the SMP industry are recognizing what I have done for the industry. And it's so nice to just get that recognition. It's just like, because I've just always been under someone's thumb for such a long time. And I was like, enough, I'm going to stab that thumb. And now I can talk freely. And, you know, this is part of the no bullshit SMP podcast. No, there's no more bullshit. We don't have to watch what we're saying, because we haven't got no ownership. We haven't got no one on the leash anymore. We're not on the leash anymore. So I just wanted to put that out there, as it's very strange for me, this industry.
Should we create that SMP family tree? Maybe I can get ChatGPT create one for us.
23andMe for SMP.
Yeah. But yeah, it's strange, and it's come from a little clinic in Harborne, which was a house makeshift. People started leaving his clinic, and rightly so, and doing things for themselves, and now the technique's over, and it's branching. And the scariest thing for me, people are going to say this is shots fired, but it's just my opinion. Now we're starting to believe that 3 sessions in one day is like the safest way to do this, and how to do it. And you don't need 3 sessions. You don't need the skin to heal. And what you said, Dave, the branches have gone so far out now that the way how it was designed to be safe, the safety is becoming a second thought now. Mm-hmm. It's about how quick can we get someone in and out. And that's when I sit on stage, that's what scares me the most.
SMP drive-through, right? Like we mentioned, you'll pick up your certificate, and once you go around the corner.
And it doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me because I feel like it's a superior technique. I have my reasons why I feel like it's very unsafe, because you just can't predict what the skin's going to do with any shade.
Yeah.
So what scares me is how many people are going to get hurt by someone and individuals changing the narrative that, you can get this done in one session. That scares, scares what's going to happen to people.
I will put money on the table. I will pay for someone's laser removal. I will do it. If they go ahead and practice what they preach. If there's someone out there and they practice and they preach the fact that they can do a quick course and give a certificate to somebody and they have SMP, I will pay to get yours lasered off if you use one of your students or one of your techniques to do it on your head.
Mm-hmm.
It's been thrown to people.
Shit.
Have you guys seen any heal treatment after one session? Like, the companies, they offer one session and you're done. Because I have not seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. And I can't comment unless I've seen it.
Out there, if you guys are practicing in one session, I want to see it seriously, because
and we're not saying it's wrong. We're not saying it's wrong, but I want to see what it looks like in a year, in 2 years. That's it.
I'm saying from my experience, there's no way I could finish a client in one session, because skin is not perfect. You're not going to add that density, and none of the dots are going to fade. Going to heal perfectly. This is not a banana. This is not melon.
Right. So it seems like what we're saying is, we're calling out what the bullshit is, but what we're saying is the solution to this is more training before you even touch skin.
Mm-hmm.
Just to add, I have seen 1 day session or 3 sessions healed. I have seen it healed, and it's every what I thought was going to be. Migration, blue, you name it, cluster filling at the max.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I thought was going to be. I wasn't surprised. I was just like, call that.
Yeah.
You literally got if you couldn't call that and you're an SMP artist, I don't think you're in the right industry.
Yeah.
If you if you're not studied anatomy and physiology or anything regarding needles and the skin texture and stuff like that, and you can't even predict that's going to happen, you should.
It seems to me like that can be done on paper. I can do 3 sessions on paper. Paper's not going to heal.
Yeah.
Skin's going to heal. It's going to look different in a year. It's common sense.
I just done a hairline modification on someone who's been to another clinic, and I did one pass and then I started refining it, and his skin was so angry that I could tell that, if I kept him cramming it and trying to put more in to overwork the hairline, if I had that wrong mindset, it was going to tear. It started going red, angry. And when it goes red, angry, inflamed, you don't know what the structure of that skin's going to do.
Yeah.
You know what a pocket of low dense skin is going to do and bleed into something else. So I see every day why you shouldn't do it. But like Dave said, if you can show me a treatment what's done in 1 day with 3 sessions with the right spacing, with exactly the perfect color, with no migration, no blow, no bleeding, no cluster filling, I'll give you a tap on the back. That's the most you're going to get out of me, because I still think you're throwing caution to the wind to the clients, and I don't believe that's right.
And we want to see different ethnicities too. One session on different ethnicity and different cases. Alopecia, transplant, scar, and like I said, different ethnicity.
Right.
You can do one session.
You've opened something now, right? So something what's grinding my gears at the moment.
What's grinding your gears? Grind your gears.
I've just Tokyo drift this shit into the left lane. Like, so when artists release shit, please think about building a portfolio so you can show people what it looks like 1 year healed, 2 years healed, 3 years healed, multiple years. Show us what your new shiny pigment does, or new shiny needles, or whatever it does. Can you please start showing a catalog of evidence? Because this is not me. This is being good, positive feedback. I'm a potential customer here for anything what comes out there, right? But I'm not going to be convinced unless you show me shit what looks legit. I'm not going to buy into a fancy reel and a fancy videographer or anything like that. Pigment sitting on a fucking sand dune in the middle of Dubai desert. I'm not going to fucking buy that shit. I don't care.
I love it. No bullshit.
I want to see.
Show is starting, guys.
The product does on the tin. Simple as. So any artist out there who's releasing stuff, think about that. Because otherwise, you've got a product what you can't back up. Simple as. So that's what's grinding my gears. I've seen a lot of shit this week. What's pissed me off.
We can tell.
A good videographer, Paul. That's what you're saying.
Wow, the SMP rescue is going heavy this week, huh?
Yes. 6 consultations, and we're Wednesday.
And all of these are botched?
Yeah.
Wow.
More and more. Each year, right? You notice that as well.
We knew it was going to happen.
More and more. Yeah.
My most requested treatment. Second most requested treatment. Let me put that in perspective. That's beating hair transplant scars.
Wow.
And I do a lot of hair transplant scars. It's insane. And the stuff, what I'm working, I always give people, and here's a bit of advice at home. If you have someone who's botched and you want to do your best to rescue it, your first opinion on what they should do is laser first. Unfortunately, there's some people who can't be in a predicament, who have been rocking the look for so many years and they can't go back to bald. I get that. But please always offer laser first.
And with that, that's what I agree with that. I mean, there's some people have these solutions that do, but it's not going to be good for giant areas or over saturated ink. Laser is what I went with. But same thing. If you're looking for a good SMP artist, you also have to look for a good laser clinic, because there's some out there that they just want to get you in for 9 or 10 sessions, which it only took me 2 sessions to remove all mine. And I had a total of, I think, 8 SMP sessions on my head. 8. It wasn't overly. It is almost that time. So thank you for singing some Christmas songs. Yeah, I went to this place. I'm going to give a little plug. I went to this place called the Removery, and 2 sessions was gone. Like, you couldn't see anything, and I wanted a good canvas. So thank you, Removery.
Yeah, you guys got to do research when it comes to laser, because I have your clients, depending on ethnicity as well. If you're African American or Hispanic, if the laser is too strong, you can get skin discoloration as well. So I have few clients, because they thought they can go to traditional tattoo removal place and can just blast it with a high level. No, it might damage your skin as well. So do your research when you go with that route of laser removal your SMP.
Hey, Mike. Dad,
yeah.
Why do we have SMP rescue service now? What on earth could have created a whole new treatment plan for people? Why is the reason? Why are people getting botched? What? Tell me, guys.
Maybe we will be driving that Lambo soon, because we'll be fixing those botched treatments. I keep on bringing them.
You're saying why is there so much botched work?
Training.
Yeah.
Because the new generation of Don't want to even call them artists. I don't want to call them artists. They're not. They don't earn it. The new generation is not competent. It's all about the dollar. In my head, and every person out there is a human being. Every customer is a human being, not a canvas. They start to call them canvases. Oh, we get a canvas. No, that's a human. It's a human with feelings.
Live canvas.
I mean, I know you guys have shared with me and shared with, gosh, I think even in New York, you shared stories about people that come in that are suicidal and they're depressed and because they got bad work. That's worse than being bald. I'd rather go back to being bald than having shit work on my head. And it all boils down to the training.
Okay, so who's to blame? The student or the teacher?
Teacher.
Teacher.
I think the teacher, because the students are only they're going to get what someone who has a higher authority teaches them. I learned from my mom. My mom was my higher authority. She taught me the stuff that I learned today. She taught me the right things. The teachers are the parents and the students are the children. And that's how
they get hyped from the advertisement, the commercials, right? These students get hyped and that's what they get. That's it. The hype. And when you get in there, the hype is not there. The education is not there. But the videos will look good, you know what I mean, afterwards, but that's all.
And why is there only 3-day training programs? Do you have a theory, guys?
Quick money. Well, one of my theories is the clinics that are not making money in treatment because they don't have enough clients, they'll get into training, right? Because it's easy, quick money. So if I get 5 students, charge them $3,000, that's $15,000 in 3 days.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting to me? I was re-listening to our talk in New York. I keep referencing it because it was really good. And I listened to it again and again. And
I sounded angry on that.
I did.
Those pictures, man, where you look serious.
I know. I'm serious. This is a serious thing, guys. I mean, it's really serious. And we have to take it seriously or else nothing's going to happen. But I remember somebody said, and it's interesting when it's good, it's called SMP. But when it's bad, it's called a bad head tattoo. Wait a minute. If it's bad, no, it's bad SMP. And if it's good, it's a good head tattoo. You know, why is it separated? Because they still try to shit on, it's a bad tattoo, so you use bad tattooing. No, it was a poorly trained SMP artist. Because they're doing SMP.
Be a topic for the next show, right? I'm sensing.
SMP versus tattoo. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
I don't think you can pit them two together. I feel like like you said. Are you talking about tattoo artists doing it, or
no? Not necessarily. I'm just talking about how the separation started from a long time ago. It's starting to get, people are accepting the fact that it is a tattoo. I think that's because enough people preached it that ink in skin with a needle is a tattoo, and it's common sense. But for such a long time, I know, what the fuck? For such a long time, people were saying it wasn't. I get it. I get why they said that, because it was like if I walked in 12 years ago to a place and they said, "Hey, we do head tattoos," I'd have been like, "Nope, bye." But if you saw what a good SMP looked like, you could say, "Okay, that's a tattoo. Yeah, it looks different than this stuff, but it looks like what it's supposed to look like." So that bridge has the gap has gotten smaller almost so much now that people are like, okay, this is a tattoo. It's just a tattoo in a different way. Eyebrows are tattoos, but they're tattooed to look like eyebrow hair, So, and this is hopefully this will start to bridge the gap even further. So people stop trying to convince everybody that this is completely different and needles are completely different and products are completely different. This is already a segue to our next topic, but
I wonder if the term SMP would ever change, because we have cosmetic tattooing, and I think we fall under the umbrella of cosmetic tattooing, and we've got the word tattooing in there. And the last episode, I said the reason why, because it had to have SMP had to have its own identity, couldn't be associated with tattooing. But I wonder if there will be a better terminology than SMP. Little fun fact, I was actually in the meeting when the term SMP came up, because before that it was MHT, which is micro hair technique, and we was in an office full of probably about 20 of us, just artists and top management coming up with it. And someone told me that SMP is actually trademarked. But there's something weird going on where they can't sue anybody or get like a.
Jero told me a story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Talk to
yeah,
Jero.
yeah,
Talk to Jero.
Yeah, it's a very intricate story, and I suppose we have to navigate the seas very carefully on an open public track.
Yeah. Supposedly it's frozen right now. It's being held by the state or the government, so it's frozen right now.
Yeah.
By the wizards of SMP.
By the
Wizards of SMP.
But yeah,
By the deep state.
Would you call it something different? Would you come up with a different term? I mean, it's stuck. It makes sense. PMU.
Yeah.
It's its own thing too.
Yeah, Scalp Micro Pigmentation. I suppose it does what it says on the tin, don't it? Really.
But it's interesting because no other tattoo, like permanent makeup, listen to what it is. Permanent makeup. It's supposed to. It's a tattoo that looks like you're permanently have eyebrows or permanently have lipstick on.
But,
Scalp micropigmentation. Scalp is defined as the skin on the head. Micro is small. Pigmentation is ink in skin, I guess. So, but when I get like a back piece of tattoo, do they call it scapular tattooing or whatever? No, they don't call it something. It's all tattoo. You know, if I get
ink.
if I get a chest piece or something like that, I don't call it pectoral pigmentation. No, it's a tattoo. You know?
Maybe it should be hair follicle tattooing. So it's
Yeah.
HFT.
So let's start.
Someone is calling it something different because I think Ronnie calls it MPH.
MPH.
Ronnie from Amsterdam.
Micropigmentation.
Okay.
No, it's something he told me. I mean, the minds is the reason why I think SMP doesn't quite translate.
It works.
Well, we definitely got to get Ronnie on the show one day because his personal journey.
But spell SMP backwards.
Bishop shades, it's a way of having pre-mixed ink. Before in the SMP industry we used to mix our own pigments to all these different shades. Now we've got a cleaner product from Bishop, and then they're going to mix the ink in the same mixing ratio that I've been using for years and having success with. We've got a light version which has got 4 different shades in it. We've got a medium version for your medium skin tones, and then we go to a darker with 3 different shades in there, and that is enough to cover every skin tone. So for instance, like with somebody with my skin tone, I would start with a number 9 and then I would finish on subsequent sessions with a number 7. Makes it so much easier. I'm really excited for you to try out the shades. It's going to be a game changer when it comes to putting ink into people's scalp. I really hope this helps improve your treatments.
Well, I had a weird client the other day. So I'm pretty convinced I done SMP on the first cyborg.
For Cyborg?
Yeah,
Whoa. Do tell.
I'm very convinced.
Tell us more.
He moved in a way I've never seen anybody move ever, right? So, you know, if I said to you, turn your head to the left, you just do this, right? I turn to the right. Simple as, right? This guy did this. Back to the middle, he's like, right? He was like,
Oh my God.
and I was like, you're right. He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, has it got nothing? You got something wrong with your neck? He's like, no. I'm like, this guy's a cyborg. I'm telling you.
Oh, like this is gonna be interesting treatment.
and like his movements were.
Was he in pain though? Was he in pain?
Just like.
Did he bleed?
So robotic. Like I thought he was like just fucking around or something. And I was just like, constantly like, you're right, man. You good? Yeah. He's like, yeah, fine.
How was he sitting during the treatment? Was he sitting still or?
Still, as like he was dead, bro.
Did you try going a little harder on the pressure just to see?
He did not move an inch during the session.
Really?
It was just cementing the fact that I think this guy was a cyborg.
How the fuck
Really
did he
nice
evolve?
guy, but I was like, I'm pretty sure this is one of Elon Musk's guys, one of his little robot dudes. Yeah. So
Or maybe this sets out from the future, knowing that fucking SMP is going the wrong direction. It's like save Save Paul in the street.
This is the hairline that saves humanity.
So how is it working on synthetic skin?
Oh, just beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
He sat like a statue, so it's perfect, yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. It's a very strange experience. 15 years in, I've never seen anybody just like, I'm not even exaggerating. That's the crazy thing. I'm not even exaggerating. It was like an animatronic. It was so strange.
Are you able to record him or no?
No. Hey, can you just turn left while I record you? But he's a nice guy, and that's all that matters. But yeah, that's a strange one. But anyway, we're back to the training. So, like, you know, where do you guys, you know, we talked about what's going on, you know, how it went, how it used to be, the good old days. We've got issues about, you know, what it is now. And like we promised on this podcast, we're always going to come up with what we feel like should be a solution, and just, you know, drop little nuggets of wisdom, maybe. I don't know. So, you know, where do you feel like this could potentially go, bad or good?
David?
I was about to say Mike at the same time. No, I'll take it. He's like, David. You know, I think it's always hard to get people to come back to old school ways. It's difficult. I mean, when have we ever gone back to the future? No, back to the past, to the way things used to be. I don't know that I have a solution other than just call out people that are doing things the wrong way, and the wrong way is usually the quick way and the cheap way. But we have to change the mentality of people that want to get into it first, because back to my story, I wanted to get into it. If there was a 3-day course back in the day, I would have said no. So I was like, I'm not going to learn anything. I wanted to do it the right way, and the right way is the long way, and the long way is the expensive way, and the sacrificial way, all that stuff. So we have to change the mentality, but it's going to be a battle, because you're battling with a lot of people that, well, this is the way it is. And you even said, Paul, before, you have to change the narrative. You have to change the way that it is now is, okay, 3-day course is just a common thing. That can't be a common thing anymore. And we're never going to get rid of it. If it's that way, you're not going to get rid of it. People are going to have...
You've got to almost like shame it.
Yeah, you have to. Yep.
Like, so we, like us people who believe it's the wrong way, we have to go, oh, you done an introduction, you mean?
Yeah.
No, the metals, no, you didn't. You done an introduction.
Mm.
Someone just showed you what it looked like, but you not know how to do it. And it's like, you know, we're going to need people who are like-minded like us, who believe in it, to start going, nah, you did an introduction, mate.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Do you think it's possible to say you were going to be, Paul, you were going to offer or Mike, you were going to offer a 6-month course. Okay. And you had probably only 2 students. I didn't even say 1 student. Do you think you'd still be able to run a clinic, have your customers, do all the other things, and teach a student at the same time?
So this is it. This is it from my perspective. Like, I have no leeway as of yet to look at any way I can take a student on and stuff like that. I'm just too busy with SMP treatments.
Right.
And it makes me nervous to a point where I don't want training to sacrifice, like, be hit from being so busy, and I don't want me being so busy to damage the training. So, like, I do have a blueprint of what a 6-month and a 12-month apprenticeship looks like. I just haven't built it in a sense because there's no second of the day to even start focusing on that.
Right. Yeah.
And for me, is that I'm not going to say what my next big chapter is, but I've got a huge, big chapter which I can't wait for. Hopefully in December or the new year. But when that happens, I feel like the landscape's going to change for me. And that might be the opportunity for me where I could look at that. But no, I honestly right now, I just could not juggle doing clients and teaching at the time as of right now.
And that's why I
But
think
you've done it before, though. Yeah, I mean, were you comfortable when you were doing those, 2-month trainings with his? Was it a lot of pressure or no when you were doing those trainings?
Oh yeah, because like I need to get you to a certain point in 3 months' time, and then I have to. My client's appearance is not sacrificed with my attention elsewhere. So you was pulled apart by horses almost. Like you don't know what direction it was going to go, and then we have to do things like we couldn't get people to have a client, so we'd have to, like John Giroux said in Meeting the Minds, you'd have to shove the client's head into the headrest and go, Mike, find that now and have a go, like, do you know what I mean? And it was just the lay of the landscape then. That's what you had to do to even introduce. Or we started going, look, this is an apprentice. Can they do a little patch test on that? And you get some really good guys and women until we got your own clientele. So that was the hardest thing about it. And that's what's difficult as well. Anybody who's running a training academy, and SMP is a bit of a lone wolf game. You're the face of the business. So when someone comes to you for treatment, they want you.
Yeah.
So then convince them to have a student, and the price tag is good enough to risk it or do it kind of thing. But you're still running the gauntlet of they want you though.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to be a full-time SMP artist busy and a full-time instructor. You can't juggle both those because both of them are full-time. And then one of them is going to be sacrificed. Yeah. So for some,
I limit how many clients I do, so I can teach someone
right.
best. Yeah. But then, does that have a snowball effect? Does that affect revenue? Does that affect blah blah bullshit? So it's a tricky one.
Yeah,
correct.
So you have to be a full-time educator, probably.
Yeah. And there are people that love to be that, do that, but
you have enough, right? You've got to have enough experience. You can't be just anybody who's been doing it for a year. I'm a full player.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
You've got to at least have 5 years underneath your belt, at least.
Would you consider doing shadowing at your clinic, Paul?
I do shadowing because that's something I manage, because I do get people who have a discounted price because they understand that my attention is shared, but the work is not sacrificed because clients are mainly the students are mainly watching me work. And they might ask me some questions. They might ask the client some questions, but the client's being, has a discounted treatment for knowing that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And they're filming and stuff like that.
And the best thing, you're not certifying anyone as well. So
no, these are people who are artists already. Yeah. The demand for shadowing is crazy, but yet again, it's hard to get people who are comfortable with other people watching them have this. That's something I get is clients who really want a sanctuary feeling that they're not under a magnifying glass. And there's some people, they'll bite my hand off for the offer. So again, that's tricky. Just getting people who are willing to let people observe them as well.
So
maybe that could be a solution, for the 3-day training if they're do shadowing shadowing days. You don't have to certify anyone anymore. So
I think there needs to be a longer fundamental training. And then people that want to be educators and be full-time educators. Yeah, you still got to get skin in the game. You still have to, practice doing SMP on your own so you have something to offer. But you want to be a full-time educator, that's great. Some people are good teachers and some people are just good artists. And some are the other way around. Some people are good. What did I just say? Some people are good artists and not good trainers. So find the people that are good at what they do and just focus on that, because there is definitely a need for good educators. I definitely need it.
This is a bit naive of me asking this, but I just want to kick the fucking nest a little bit. Would you say that the more you're busy as an educator, the less good you are at SMP? I know it's a bit of a controversial question, and it's very vague.
I wouldn't.
But that statement, if if you can't do teach.
But see, you should go ahead, Mike. After you're chugging your water, is that Magic Mike water?
That's Magic White. Yep.
Oh,
No, it's not. Sorry.
bullshit.
That's bullshit. Yeah, because like we were going back to what I said before, right? Like if you know your clinic's not busy, that means you're not doing a lot of treatments. But then you jump into training because you want to make money, right? It's how you're supposed to teach someone your knowledge if you haven't gone through the process of repetition and knowing everything, and then you're teaching someone. Like, remember, David, me and you said, like, how do you teach someone how to breathe, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be hard to explain to someone like how to do my stuff because I just do it. It's natural, right? It's repetition, but it's muscle memory, and it comes naturally now. So it's hard to explain to someone. The people that are training that haven't had that experience are basically teaching something that's not going to work at all, you know, because they haven't seen what it looks like after 5 years, 7 years, 8 years of treatment, right? So,
but we're not talking about the blind leading the blind. We're not talking about people that just got into the industry now training. We already know that's an issue. We're talking about people that have been in the industry for a long time now training people. Obviously, they're good enough to do it because they've been doing it for a long time now. They have academies. They're good artists. They've already established that. But they have to now pick and choose what they want to focus most of their attention on. Training others, which takes time, which is what we're saying. It's going to take time, or performing SMP. And
I think I turned down about 80 grand this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I would say probably even more because I had 3 inquiries this week about training. And even if I was doing training, I don't know where I could fit them in.
Yeah, and you're going to have to be there because they're going to want you to train them, not somebody else. I mean, here's a quick story. I used to train Muay Thai back in the day, right? And the guy that I went to, he was a world-class Muay Thai instructor. His name is Rafael Cordero. Name of his studio is King's MMA. He's the guy who was actually holding mitts for Mike Tyson. Okay, so I went to him back in 2009. I didn't know who he was. I just went. And this guy was awesome. He had a tiny little studio at the time. There's a few students. And I was there for 3 years. And he was always doing the teaching. Everybody learned all the techniques from the master. We called him master because he was that good. And then as he got busier and busier, MMA, UFC fighters would come and want to train with him because he was so good. And then he started to get so busy, he was traveling. He would go to, wherever they would have a UFC fight because he was the corner guy. And then it started to get to the point where he wasn't doing the teaching anymore because he was gone. So he would have one of his black belts do the teaching. And it got more and more with that. So now you're not getting the master to teach you Muay Thai. You're getting one of his black belts. And that's not what you pay for.
Yeah.
So the same thing has to go with this. If you want a master to teach you SMP, he's going to have to make himself available. But if he is a master, he's not going to be available because he's going to have so many people that want SMP from him. So you can't have both. You can't have both, in my opinion.
And what's mad is like, because people might be watching this and thinking, where did the 3-day training mindset come from then?
Started, yeah.
From my perspective, it was my opinion on this is that when I was working with a certain company, people weren't as busy. So, I wasn't very business minded back in the day. I was just the artist and I was just want to focus on the art, very much the same way I live my life now. And the business guy of it was like, well, we need to, justify the reason why you get a salary, Mr. X, because you're not doing shit. So it was like, do we do training? And that role was almost just made up to make sure that someone's justified their wages and to bring a revenue and do something. And then it was like, well, around the table was discussing, and I was like, maybe we should do a 3-month apprenticeship. And yet again, the same logic was like, no, can we condense it into 7 days? And people were like, no, I don't want to work the weekend. So it was like 5 days. And then this kind of 5-day mindset, just, snowball effect. It was like, yeah, let's run with that, with really not too much of my...
Oh.
Classic.
Oh, you back.
You froze, buddy.
Okay.
We thought you were a cyborg.
Shit, he turned into a receiver.
Where did you lose me?
I don't. You were talking about shit. If I know, I wasn't paying attention to you, buddy. I'm
We'll
sorry.
go back.
I'm just kidding.
No, it was. I went 3 months.
Yeah.
It went down to a month. Then it was 7 days, and then people got excited about the 5 days, and then it was up to me to put the course material together. And I was like, well, I can't. No, I'm doing my clients as well, so I had to just constantly go in, drop knowledge, and then leave. And then this 5-day training program. And fast forward, that became successful. Wasn't great. I hated it because I knew I trained Mike and other individuals who were great in SMP for 3 months. So I was like, hated every minute of it. And some amazing artists did bloom from that, but then the artists continued their education. They just didn't drop it. And then after a while, people were like, oh, 5 days is too long.
Yeah.
You do 3 days, you do 2 days. And then it was like, word, there was someone doing it in Harley Street for 1 day, 2 days. And then people across the pond were doing 3 days. And then we were like, oh, we've got to change ours now. And I was just like, God, just leave me out. I don't want nothing to do with it. And then 4 days became the thing. Mm-hmm. Then I joined someone else who convinced me that 2 days is because it's a new state-of-the-art training program. Yeah. And I was like, well, unless we try, we don't know, do we? Yeah. And I gave it a go. Hated that as well. And I hate that so much that I'm still looking after the 2 students from that because I felt like I didn't do them the best. So I'm constantly in contact with them, observing their work, coming to shadow me. You've probably seen the post from me recently of them shadowing me. So I'm constantly feel bad about them because, again, listening to someone to think, oh, this is good, tried it, still hated it. So, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like you try something, you realise it, you assess it and go, no, that's shit, stop it. And that's been my opinion now. It's like, tried it so many times, don't want to be convinced anymore. Go with my gut for the first time in 13 years and I'm going to stop doing it. And that's where I've come to the logic now of it. So, and it's mad how it's just birthed this 3-day thing out of nowhere. Yeah. Out of nowhere.
And we have to come up with a solution. This is what we're trying to do. So we're still talking about it, and we still all understand that this is all, how do they monetize an artistic skill? And that's how they monetized it. Let's try to teach other people to be artists in as quick as possible. So then we can get it's like a revolving door. Correct. So we still have to try to find, that's what we're trying to do, is try to find a solution.
Instead of one original piece that you create or.
So we'll see if people can comment on what do they feel is a solution to this?
It's got to be 6 or 12 month apprenticeship with days in a clinic, homework, someone can have a second job, come back, reassess, pick up, and just, it's a slow build up. Mm-hmm. So people can balance work life, come and do this as well. But when you get to a certain point, and I'm happy to share this information because if it means we change the fucking narrative, right on. So I would say, like, even when the student gets to a certain point, earn what you learn. So you start getting the models who pay and you give some money to the student and you take a cut as well. So then after a while, they're like, oh shit, I'm actually earning now. I've actually started the momentum of it. So, and you build up a catalog and you build up a portfolio. So when the time you leave me, you have hopefully quite a few clients under your belt to build up your portfolio and set up your own business. Yeah. And if you're that shit hot, you'd be working for me because I won't let you go.
Yeah.
So
that's
a whole.
That's a good solution. Yeah.
Yeah. I also wonder if the trainers are training making those 3-day training, are they teaching them everything? They want to, create competitors, or that's what I believe. They don't want to teach them everything because they don't want, 20 of other great practitioners. So they're not going to teach them from their heart like Pop did, right? Because it's quick money, like you said. This is turnaround. I mean, it's quick, easy money for them when you don't have to do shit. You just play something on the screen, do a few bananas for them, and that's it. You know what I mean?
I've heard stories about educators who threaten physical violence on their students if they mention that you open anywhere near their territory.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I've heard of educators basically saying, you can do my course as long as you sleep with me.
Oh shit! Damn it!
I heard that.
How did that get out about me? So hey guys, we're gonna I think we should kind of wrap this up a little bit because we're gonna go on, but I think if we get some input and get some comments from people telling us what their thoughts are, we encourage it. So I think we should wrap this one up. But Mike, why don't you start off? Tell everybody where they can find you, your socials, your website, and then if anybody wants to.
I mean, we can probably add everything. Tom is amazing doing this stuff. So yeah, we can find me at Mike Magic Ink. And then also info@magicink.com. If you guys have any questions, email me. But yeah, I mean, you guys will see all the information below up somewhere over here. I don't know where it's going to be listed. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. You can find me. I'm Headliner.Ink. .ink. That's my website. That's my socials. And if anybody has any questions, I love helping. So I'll answer any question. Open book. So, contact any of us. Paul, where can they find you?
Legends. Right on my nipple.
On your nipple?
You can find me at Legends. You can find me at Legends Scalp Micro Pigmentation on Instagram. You can find me
at the bar next door.
OnlyFans.
Oh.
The Great Gaper. No, you can find me Paul Clark _SMP _innovator, and you can also check out my badass website, www.legendsclinic.co.uk.
Awesome. So guys, we'll do this again next week, and we're still looking for more comments on what you guys want us to talk about. What are your interests? What do you find is necessary in the SMP industry, good and bad? And we'd love to cover all those topics. And we enjoy this stuff as much as you guys do. So we'll see you guys next time. Hey, do you guys remember the outro? Do you remember the outro? Bullshit.
Bullshit.
All right, guys. Hey, hugs. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys.
All right.
See you later.